Okay, so we'll see some theoretical concept like in sequencers even where we cannot execute in my local machine. That is the reason we'll discuss some theory. But for example, routine activity. So routines in transformer even you might see these routines. Uh, I'll just call one job which is related to a transformer. Okay, so here you can see the routines concept. DS routines. Okay, so what is these routines? In the repository even we can see the routines. So there are some built-in routines and there are some um external routines even. What is first of all a routine concept? I'll tell you. See, initially in the older versions of data stage, there is no flexibility of all options that today we see, like loop variables, stage variables, and if then else conditions, some code, decode in SQL. So like that, we have some limitations. Of course, decode and now we don't have, but we can call through Oracle connector even by writing a query. That is a different case. But there are some other code or program that you want to call into the data stage which is not related into the data stage, maybe like C++, Java, some other programming languages code if you want to execute in data stage. That is what a routine concept. So if you want routine concept, you can use some functions of like this. Okay, we can call this convert quarter. If you have the value, you can convert it into quarter of that year. How many quarters we can have. So like that, we have some functions. So if I want to write a routine, for example, a new routine I will take. Uh, Parallel routine I'll take. So you write a routine name and here you have arguments to pass an argument and you can call that code even here or sorry, call means you can write a code here by using these options. Okay, so using this we can create a new one that you can use it like a user variable, user defined routines and all. You can make a folder and you can keep it in that and you can call anywhere. If you want to run to the job level before, you can have in the job properties tab, see before job subroutine and after job subroutine. Here not only the routines, you can execute some shell scripts even. Some scripts even execute as such. You can give the path of the text script. So it will run before to the job. So before to the job, it will execute and it will show you, it will give the output. And this is after subroutine. After completion of the job, if you want to execute that script, you can write it here. And in the routines also, you can call like here itself. Routine names also you can call from here itself. So routines they execute from the OS level. So you execute those if it is Windows, and if it is Unix, you can call execute sh. So like this we can call them. So using before and after subroutines even concept. So scripts also will execute in the same way. Okay, file archiving also we can do from here this concept only. Means we can write an archive script and execute as such we can give after the job. After completion of the job, the records loads here, and after that the execute command, the archiving script will execute. So in that case, that file will go in the archive in the one particular archive folder. Okay, like that we can do archiving here in one concept. So in the real time we do in that way. That is one case. And next, coming to the routine concept, this is what in the sequencer level, if you want to call the routines, we use this routine activity. But nowadays, frankly speaking, from 8 versions onwards, we don't have such a routines requirement. But in the previous versions of to 8, if you want to migrate those 7 versions and say 6 versions into 8 plus version, then in that case, only routine concept will be useful. So in my total career, initial stage, I have seen routine, but not more than that. So I don't have much more experience in routines concept. Okay, but these are not required as of now because now the options are very very huge. Everything you can do it from here itself into the data stage GUI. Okay, so that is the reason we are not discussing the routine activity concept. And that's what the routine purpose. If someone asks, do you have any experience in routines? Simply say no, because we are not at nowadays with our projects which are developed, those are not required of routines concept. Okay, so that is one thing. And next thing, we have a terminator activity. Why do we have a terminator activity? So the terminator activity is to terminate a total sequence where you required. For example, I'll tell you. See, I'll open the properties. First of all, I'll just give copy and I'll make it activity name as the job name by using copy paste. And next, I have another activity. I'll call another job. That can be my copy operator job. In this also the same way, I'll copy it and make it into the paste. Okay, okay. So here I have terminator activities, and I'll put another terminator activity, and I'm calling here another job, the third job, something remove duplicate job. I assume that. Okay. So now if I put in this way, so what happens whenever you have the job got aborted, you should terminate throughout the sequence. For example, job triggers. DS link 8 is to the next job and DS 7 is to the terminator activity. To terminator activity, I'll put as failed. If it is failed, it should go terminator activity. If it is okay, go further for the next job. The same way here also I can mention DS link 10 is the other one, DS link 9 is the terminator activity. I'll put fail and this is okay. So now in this case, DS link 11 I have, and in this I'll put directly failed only. So here, in any case of the job fail aborts, then the total sequence should abort. For example, in this job, the job is getting aborted. You should not run these two jobs. Of course, trigger conditions also we can do, correct? Triggers conditions also we can do. But here only total throughout the sequence should be failed. So in that case we are making. But this process is not that much flexible, because for how many job activities you are calling in a sequencer canvas, those many terminator activities we are calling, correct or not? So terminator activity is the one which will help us to terminate whole sequence and which case you want. So, like this, if you make a job design, that is not a flexible concept. That is not the correct concept. So here we have two options. Send a stop request to all running jobs, abort without sending stop request. It is like abnormal and normal. So the job sequencer job termination should be normal or abnormal. That is defined with these two options. If you send a request for these two jobs, it will send a request, and after completion of the aborted of these jobs, then this total sequence will fail. If it is not like that, if you want to abnormally stop it, do not send any request. By default, abnormally it will stop. So there are two cases. Maybe server issues may rise when you say abnormal, and at the job level, even job may sometimes it may be crash. So in that cases, it will be a problem. So what we feel is we send a stop request to all the jobs and terminate. And the other way of terminating the same total sequence is not in this way we design normally, generally in the real cases. What we do is, what we do is, we'll take an exception handler and we'll take one terminator activity, and before to that notification activity. And what exception handler does is, exception handler, you don't see any arguments or anything you pass like end loop activity. What exceptional handle can do internally is it can observe or it can find any error or any warnings from the exception from the job activities that it find immediately to raise a request, so that it will send first of all mails through the notification activity. So notification activity, if you want to work on, we require SMTP server, but in my local machine it will not be possible. That is the reason I'm not able to show you again. So here you can give the server name, mail address to whom you want to send, and what is the subject, and if you want to attach, and if you want to include the status of the job in the email, you can do that. And Once if this job get failed, and the exception handler will take that request and directly first of all do the notification, and next it goes to the termination activity by send. So here what happened, my job complexity is getting reduced or not. So this is because of exception handler is another activity which will work into that. And this altogether exception handler activity will be only one particular activity for one sequencer at a time. You don't see again enabled. See here in the palette you are showing. I'm saying. Okay. So this is what about the exceptional handler, a notification activity to send emails to the managers, client, and everywhere. Wherever you want, you can make this notification activity. If you want to send a file of rejected records, you can do that here. The file execute command activity is the one which need to handle the files from the OS level of Unix. So execute command activity will come, and that we can put it into the notification activity. That is the next step. The next level of concepts, but not the basic level. So that we no need to discuss now. Next, that request goes to the termination, and it will terminate throughout the job. This is what about this exceptional handler activity and notification activity, and terminator activity, which will useful to terminate the activity total sequence using terminator activity. Okay. So this is what a three part, and next we'll go for another one particular scenario of nested condition. With that, we'll see some scenarios, and we'll go to completion of the training. Mostly we are nearby, and the most next to three sessions we will take, I guess. So we'll see accordingly. And thanks for watching this time video, and thanks for your time.